What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Your Real NBA video. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the Chicago Bulls. I'm a Chicago Bulls fan and times are tough right now because we're currently 2-6 on the season. We just lost to the Lakers after having a 18-point lead, I think it was. And yeah, it's just really disappointing because, as you probably know, the Bulls, before the season started, the Bulls had so much expectations, not only by Bulls fans, but like just NBA fans in general. Just people like were thinking that the Bulls had a legit shot at making the playoffs in the East. And honestly, they have the talent to make the playoffs in the East. They have Zach LaVine, they have Lauri Markkanen. A lot of people thought that he was going to be really good this year. And then they have Otto Porter Jr., a solid 3-and-D player, Wendell Carter Jr., who's a really good defensive center, and he's pretty good on the offensive end this year as well. And then they have Kobe White, who's been a really good rookie, and then they also have like Tomas Satoransky, Thaddeus Young, who are two really good veteran players that they added to the team in the offseason. They just have a lot of good, solid players. Chris Dunn, good defensive player. Chandler Hutchison, who he's pretty decent. And they also have Daniel Gafford, but the coach doesn't want to play him. We'll talk about the Bulls coach later, but we had so much expectations. Like this Bulls team, me personally, this is the first Bulls team that I've been legit hyped up to watch since Derrick Rose when he was on the Bulls. Those days. Because the past couple of years we've been rebuilding, we've been pretty bad, and I'm not gonna say I wasn't looking forward to the rebuilding years, but I knew that they were rebuilding years and I knew that they were not gonna be that exciting. So, but this year was the first year I was like, okay, we have a legit shot to make the playoffs. We have a really solid squad. We added veteran pieces, which means we're going to try to win some games instead of rebuild. But now we're 2-6 and we're legit looking like the worst team in the NBA. And yeah, so why are the Bulls bad? Can they turn it around is what I'm going to be trying to answer in this video. Because as a Bulls fan, I've been paying so much attention to the Bulls, obviously. So yeah, let's get on to some of the reasons why the Bulls look bad this year. So, first of all, let's talk about Jim Boylen, the head coach. Yes, Jim Boylen should be getting most of the blame for, the Bulls starting off bad, because he's a terrible coach. He's really incompetent. He's just not a good coach, honestly. And to be honest, I'm kind of surprised because I was giving him the benefit of the doubt because last year he was dealing with the injured squad, and last year he actually had the Bulls go on a nice run in February last year. So I was giving him the benefit of the doubt because he didn't look like a horrible coach when he was coaching last year. So I was like, let's see how he does this year. Let's see if he could take the Bulls to the playoffs. Some people might think that 8 games is too early to be overreacting, but I think that Jim Boylen should be fired. And most Bulls fans agree with me with Jim Boylen needing to be fired. Heck, even fans of other teams I've seen saying that Jim Boylen needs to get fired. Jim Boylen, he's the main reason why the Bulls are, not starting off this season well, because he has so much just things wrong with his coaching style. First of all, his rotations are trash. The first 7 games of the season he played, he was playing a 3-point guard lineup, and it just wasn't working out. He doesn't stagger Zach LaVine and Lauri Markkanen's minutes, and then his rotations are just terrible. And then in this game against the Lakers, at the start of the fourth quarter, he had Chandler Hutchison, Chris Dunn, and Luke Kornet in the game to start the fourth quarter. They were up by 13 to start the fourth quarter. So you would think that you would want scoring on the floor to make the lead larger, and then to get a larger lead, and then to close the game out in the fourth quarter. But no, Jim Boylen had Chris Dunn, Chandler Hutchison, and Luke Kornet. Probably our 3 worst scorers were on the court. Eventually, the Lakers, just started getting on a roll. Dwight Howard was just on a roll. Kuzma was on a roll in the fourth quarter. And then eventually, they came back. That 13-point lead was distinguished, and then the Lakers came back. If we had a good coach, that lead shouldn't have been broken at all. That the Lakers shouldn't have came back at all. Right when the Lakers started getting some momentum is when the Bulls should have called a timeout and then subbed back in the starters. But no, Jim Boylen just let the bench get freaking manhandled. And then after 6 minutes, yes, 6 minutes, half of the fourth quarter, he finally subbed back in the starters. Jim Boylen should have just subbed out the bench right when the Lakers started getting a little momentum. But no, he just let the Lakers come back, and then once he subbed back in the starters, the Lakers had all the momentum. Anthony Davis and LeBron came back onto the court, and it was just a GG after that. And I still haven't even mentioned he plays Luke Kornet. Luke Kornet is not a good basketball player, and Jim Boylen just can't see that, I guess. So he just keeps playing him over Daniel Gafford. Daniel Gafford, we drafted him with the 38th overall pick in this year's draft, and he has a lot of potential to be a good player. He played really well in college. He played really well in the summer league. He played really well in preseason. But Jim Boylen just is not giving him any type of chances to prove himself in the NBA right now. He's a really good defensive player, and the Bulls have been struggling on defense. He's a really energetic player, and he's a really momentum-changing type of player that the Bulls really need on the court right now. But no, Jim Boylen just insists on playing Luke Kornet, who's been terrible so far this season. He's been atrocious, especially on the defensive end. He just keeps getting scored on. He keeps getting manhandled in the post. Opposing centers keep having field days against Luke Kornet. Tristan Thompson and Andre Drummond had field days against Luke Kornet. And everybody's having a field day against Luke Kornet when they're matched up against him. Jim Boylen just doesn't see that, I guess, and he just keeps on playing Luke Kornet. And maybe it would all make sense if Luke Kornet was killing it on the offensive end, but no. Luke Kornet has been trash on the offensive end as well, and he's not even that great at shooting threes right now. The main reason why Jim Boylen was playing Luke Kornet over Daniel Gafford was for shooting, because Luke Kornet is a pretty good three-point shooter, but this year he's been shooting something like 20% on the season, and yeah, he's just not even good at three-point shooting this year. So yeah, he's terrible on defense, terrible on offense, terrible shooting threes. Why is Luke Kornet even playing Daniel Gafford over Daniel Gafford at this point? It just makes no sense. He's also really awful at situational coaching, and by situational coaching I mean, let me give you an example. In the game against the Pacers, Larry Markkinen had a pretty bad first half of the game. In the first 2 quarters, he was struggling. And then out of halftime to start the third quarter, Larry Markkinen was going to the basket. He was getting easy buckets. He had a dunk. He was getting some momentum going. He was getting a rhythm going. What does Jim Boylen do? He subs him out for Luke Kornet. And then all of Larry Markkinen's momentum was gone after that. So yeah, Jim Boylen, he's just terrible, man. He's just a terrible coach. I want him fired immediately. I'm pretty sure he'll probably get fired because last year Fred Hoiberg got fired after a pretty slow start. So I'm hoping that this year Jim Boylen is going to get fired because of a pretty slow start. Most of the Bulls' struggles should be put on the coach Jim Boylen, but the players have not been doing that great to start off the season. They have been really inconsistent as a team. Otto Porter Jr., he had a couple good games, but he is just really inconsistent. One game he will go off for 20, the other game he will only have 2 points with going 1 for 10 from the field. So Otto Porter, he's been really inconsistent. And then Larry Markkinen has been probably our most inconsistent player. The first game of the season, Larry Markkinen had a 35-point game with 17 rebounds, I think it was. ever since that game, he just can't get a rhythm going, I guess. I don't know what it is. And yeah, he's just been really bad to start off the season, which is really confusing because I thought he was going to have a breakout year this year. But Lauri Markkanen, his shot has just not been falling this year. Because it's really weird, because like when you think about Lauri Markkanen, the first thing you think about when you think about Lauri Markkanen is his 3-point shooting, but this year he's been really trash from the 3-point line. He just can't make a 3 to save his life. He's just been really struggling from the 3-point line. Even in the first game of the season against the Hornets when he scored 35, he only went like 1 for 7 from 3 that game. So like the whole season, even when he scored 35 points, he's been struggling from the 3-point line, which is like really weird for Lauri Markkanen. I don't know, it just seems like he's not really motivated or something like that. I don't know what it is with Lauri Markkanen, but hopefully he turns it around. And then there's Zach LaVine, who's been inconsistent. Zach LaVine, I don't know what it is with Zach LaVine. His shot selection is not that great. Also, his basketball IQ, especially on the defensive end, his basketball IQ is not that great. He just doesn't make the right plays on defense. He constantly puts up like questionable shots, like contested shots. And I mean, he can make those shots. He can make contested shots every once in a while, but like just like his basketball IQ doesn't seem that high to start off the season, and he's just been really inconsistent, man. As long as he keeps on attacking the rim, I think he will turn the season around. And then there's Tomas Satoransky. He's been decent, nothing special. Honestly, he's kind of been disappointing. He's a really good facilitator. He pushes the ball down the court, and you know, that's all we could really ask for Tomas Satoransky. And then there's Wendell Carter Jr. Wendell Carter Jr. has been great. He's been our best player this year. He's been the most consistent. In the past 5 games, he scored 20 and 10 in 2 games. And he's just been a monster on the boards. He's been a monster on the defensive end. And yeah, he grabs all the offensive and defensive boards. And he's a hustle player. Man, I'm really proud of Wendell Carter Jr. And I honestly couldn't be happier for him. And he just really seems like he really wants to be great, which is like a really good sign. And yeah, like hopefully he continues to like have a good season, and he has a really good career ahead of him. I have no worries about Wendell. I think he's great. I think he's doing great. Hopefully he continues. And then there's Coby White. Coby White is our main player off the bench. He started off the season really great with 2 games. In the first 2 games, he scored 17 in his NBA debut, and that was a really good game. In his second game, he had 25 against the Grizzlies. He outplayed Ja Morant, and then he went on a little cold streak. A lot of it has to go on Jim Boylen, because like he gives Coby White inconsistent minutes a lot of the time. And then he finally had another good game against the Lakers. One thing that I've noticed about Coby White is he needs to stop settling for long mid-range and 3-point shots. Don't get me wrong, Coby White has been really impressing me with his 3-point shooting ability and his mid-range shooting ability, because a lot of people, including myself, thought that Coby White was going to struggle with his 3-point shooting to start off his NBA career, and he was just going to really struggle with the NBA 3-point line. But like that hasn't been the case at all. He's been a really good 3-point shooter. He's really good at his mid-range shot as well. So like, don't get me wrong, like he's a really good 3-point shooter, but I just want him to stop settling for those shots, because coming out of college, his strengths were his speed and his ability to attack the rim. Everybody was talking about like he can drive past his defender with ease. He has a quick first step. He could finish at the rim with contact, and he has been a really good player when he attacks the rim. But like he's just been settling for like long mid-range shots and 3-point shots. And like I said, he can make those shots, but he's been really struggling with his shot as of late. Except for the game against the Lakers. The game against the Lakers, he was making those shots, and he was attacking the rim, which I like to see. In the past 5 games, he's been like mainly shooting jump shots for 90% of his points. And I really think that if he attacks the rim more, he will be an elite player in this league. Because when you attack the rim, you have the ability to, draw a foul or get a layup or dunk or collapse the defense and find an open teammate in the corner for 3. But when you settle for jump shots, it's like you either make it or you miss it. There have been times where I've seen Coby White get the ball on offense, and then he will do some dribble moves, and then he will pull up for a contested mid-range or three-point shot. And it's just like, he could easily drive past his defender with his quickness and finish at the rim. But you know, he is a young player. He's only 19 years old. He has a lot of time to develop in the NBA, and hopefully he can, you know, start scoring at a more consistent rate, and he could stop settling for jump shots. And then everybody else on the Bulls has been pretty solid, to say the least, except for Luke Kornet, obviously. I really had high expectations for this Bulls team, but now they're 2-6. They realistically could be 7-1 right now, because the first game they could have won against the Hornets. They won against the Grizzlies in the second game. They probably would have lost against the Raptors in the third game still. But then they could have won against the Knicks. They could have won against the Cavs. And then they would have won against the Pistons still. They could have beat the Pacers because the Pacers didn't have Oladipo, Miles Turner, or Domantas Sabonis. And then they could have easily won this game against the Lakers because they had a 19 or 18 point lead in the third quarter, and they could have easily won this game. But no, they're 2-6 when they could easily be 7-1, and it's a really tough time to be a Bulls fan right now, to say the least. But yeah, what I want to see from the Bulls moving forward is more consistency. Hopefully they could start making their shots at a more consistent rate, and yeah, all that stuff. And hopefully they could close out games, because that seems to be a huge freaking problem for the Bulls. They cannot close out games. They've had like 10+ point leads in a lot of their games, but they just can't close games out. And it's just really frustrating watching it as a Bulls fan. Also, I want to see the Bulls fire Jim Boylen, because, you know, he's a really terrible coach. So hopefully they fire Jim Boylen, and hopefully the new coach that we get, hopefully he realizes that Kornet is trash and plays Daniel Gafford over him. And then I think we have a chance to make the playoffs if all of those things happen. The Bulls have been really bad this year, but you know, I'm a Bulls fan for life, so I'm gonna watch all of the games nonetheless. So expect more videos about the Bulls. I also make videos about other teams. But yeah, that's gonna be all for the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share, and I'll see you next time.